Good day, everyone. Today we will be talking about a parasite, namely Clonorchis sinensis. Clonorchis sinensis is from the kingdom Animalia, phylum Platyhelminths, class Trematoda, which includes two groups of parasitic flatworms known as flukes, from the family Epistarchidae, genus Clonorchis, and species C. sinensis. What is Clonorchis sinensis? It is a chronic infection caused by the liver fluke. Parasitic flatworm measures about 10 to 25 millimeters long. It lives in bile ducts of liver in humans and other mammals. Once it inhabits human body, this parasite may live up to 45 years. Clonorchis sinensis is also known as Chinese liver fluke or Oriental liver fluke. It is acquired by eating freshwater fish containing fluke larvae. It is one of the most severe foodborne parasitic diseases in China. Epidemiology. Clonorchis sinensis can only be found in Asia, in the mainland of China, highly endemic in southeastern China, Japan, Taiwan, Korea, and Vietnam. Clonorchiasis is endemic where there is poor sanitation, a population who eats raw, poor pickled, smoked, dried, or salted freshwater fish. Morphology. An adult Clonorchis sinensis is flattened and leaf-shaped fluke. The small opening is called the oral sucker, which acts as the mouth. Next is the pharynx, the two tube, which is the intestine, the highly branched organs called vitellaria that are distributed on either side of the body. As a hermaphrodite, it has both male and female reproductive organs. It has uterus where eggs are situated, ovary, seminal receptacle, and testes, which is also highly branched, and lastly, the excretory bladder. The life cycle. The egg is oval shape, 26 to 30 micrometers in length, and has a thick yellow-brown shell surrounding it. Embryonated eggs are discharged in the biliary ducts and in the stool. The egg of Clonorchis sinensis contains miracidium that develops into adult form, that floats in fresh water until it is eaten by a snail. The snail as the first intermediate host. The eggs are ingested by a suitable snail intermediate host. There are more than 100 species of snail that can serve as intermediate host. Once the inside of the snail body, the miracidium hatches from the egg and parasitically grows inside of the snail. The egg undergoes developmental stages. So, the miracidium develops into a sporocyst, which in turn house the asexual reproduction of rhedia. The next stage. The rhedia themselves house the asexual reproduction of free-swimming cercaria. This system of asexual reproduction allows for an exponential multiplication of cercaria individuals from one miracidium. This aids the Clonorchis in reproduction because it enables the miracidium to capitalize on one chance occasion of passively being eaten by a snail before the egg dies. Once the rhedia mature, having grown inside the snail body until this point, they actively bore out of the snail body into freshwater environment. There, instead of waiting to be consumed by a host, as they seek out a fish, boring their way into a fish body and become again a parasite of their new host. Metacercariae. After a short period of free swimming time in water, cercariae come into contact and penetrate the flesh of the freshwater fish, where they insist as a metacercariae. Once inside of the fish muscle, the cercaria create a protective metacercarial cyst with which to encapsulate their bodies. This protective cyst proves useful when the fish muscle is consumed by a human. The acid-resistant cyst enables the metacercaria to avoid being digested by a human gastric acid and allows the metacercaria to reach the small intestine unharmed. Reaching the small intestine, the metacercaria navigate toward the human liver, which become its final habitat. Clonorchis feed on human bile created by the liver. In the human liver, the mature Clonorchis reaches its stage of sexual reproduction, and the hermaphroditic adults produce eggs every 1 to 30 seconds, resulting in the rapid multiplication of inhabitants in the liver. The adult fluke. Metacardial in the duodenum. Duodenum means the first short section of the small intestine and ascend the biliary tract. Maturation takes approximately 1 month. The adult flukes measuring 10 to 25 millimeters to 3 to 5 millimeters reside in the small and medium-sized biliary ducts. So this is the summary of the life cycle of the Clonorchis sinensis, which I've already discussed earlier. Clonorchis sinensis has two hosts. First is the snail, and the second is the freshwater fish. So what are the factors that allows this transmission? First is eating raw fish or porridge with raw fish. Second is eating undercooked small fish and shrimps. Third is infection due to using metacardia contaminated utensils or hands. Symptoms. Light rheumatoid infections are usually asymptomatic. Persons with acute phase may suffer with abdominal pain, nausea, diarrhea, mild jaundice, and eosinophilia. Detrimental effects. Eggs and worms that somehow migrate out of the biliary system may become nuclei of eventual gallstone. Metacardiae traveling through the body can cause high fevers in the host. Chronic cholangitis and heavy infection may progress to atrophy of liver parenchyma and portal fibrosis. Jaundice may occur if a mass of flukes obstruct the biliary tree. Other complications include suppurative cholangitis, cholelithiasis, pancreatitis, and late in the course, cholangiocarcinoma or bile duct cancer. Confirmation of diagnosis relies on different types of diagnostic techniques. Parasitological techniques. It detects the Clonorchis eggs in stool samples. They can only be employed in the chronic phase. It quantifies the intensity of infection, allowing estimation of the severity of the infection. Next is the molecular techniques, which uses polymerase chain reaction. And immunological techniques, which detects worm-specific antibodies in serum samples or worm-specific antigens in serum or stool samples, more sensitive than the commonly used parasitological techniques. Detection of antibodies does not distinguish between current, recent, and past infection. Stool tests are easier to perform and are reportedly better accepted by individuals in endemic areas. Treatment. Praziquantel is the most effective drug of choice for treatment. It increases cell membrane permeability in worms, resulting in paralysis of worms' musculature, attachment of phagocytes, and death. Cons. Better taste that may cause nausea. Albendazole. It inhibits metabolism in worm cells, immobilization and death of worm follow. Surgical intervention may become necessary in cases with obstructive jaundice. Prevention and control. We have to avoid eating inadequately cooked freshwater fish and shrimp. We have also to observe sanitary disposal, avoid of drinking contaminated water, and we have also to control the number of snail. Beware. Metacardiae can remain viable even after the fish has been pickled, salted, dry, or smoked. And that ends my report. Thank you so much.